Hello, welcome back. If you're a subscriber, if you're not, consider subscribing our channel. I'm Fausto Botelho, broadcasting from Brazil, and here we try to extract logical indications about the future behavior of the prices, of the crypto prices. We've been talking about the stock markets nowadays because I think there's a crash going on. A crash would mean for the market to lose a third of its value, and that would affect the world economy as well as the crypto space. I think one of the reasons why Bitcoin has fallen in the last days is because of that possibility. Same thing has happened to the oil prices. And so today we're taking a look in the S&P. That didn't change anything. It's coping with the forecast that I made that the crash is coming. And we're going to take a look at Bitcoin to see why I think there might be a major bottom being formed. And then we take a look in all the major cryptocurrencies. How's that? So let's go. Here we are in the Dow Jones to begin with. I'm showing you the weekly chart of the Dow. This is probably going to be a double top. And for that to be confirmed, this support trend line should be broken. If it happens, then I think the market will fall to reach the first Fibonacci contraction level. That would mean the 30 bigger US companies would lose a third of its value, 33%. Now, that's the S&P, where that's the guy that rules the world. He is the most important stock index of the world. And he's also showing the big possibility of a double top, being formed. It would have to break these 2600 here in order to confirm that. But the market has already broken this support trend line. And whenever it produced the second top, it gave us a bull trap, broke the support trend line, had a pullback to the support trend line, and now it opened in a gap. Today there's a lot of things going on, but we don't talk about the news. Trump meeting with the Chinese premier in Argentina. Now we talk here about charts because eventually all the news are already in the charts, right? So now back to Bitcoin. I want to show you guys that, and for that I need the weekly chart. I want to show you that we had two projections of what's happening now. The first one would be to measure the downward trend and then project it from this top here. We would have to 3600. And the second one would be for us to measure the height. Sorry, I'm pronouncing this word wrongly. The height of the descending triangle and projected downwards from the support at 6,000, and then we would come to 3,000. So there's these two objectives. The market reached the first one, almost reached the first one, and is reverting eventually. Let's see how this candle evolves in the end of the week. If we take a look in the daily chart, though, and measure the downward movement that we had, we'll see that few times in the history of Bitcoin, in the recent history of Bitcoin, we've had a movement this big without a reaction, at least a reaction. So that's what I think is happening now, a reaction, and it's in good time, right? Now, I've been recommending for people that follow the channel to move from Bitcoin to true USD in when the markets were yet on the accumulation, and that was because the crash that I saw happening in the S&P. So those of you that follow this recommendation and are following the channel, let me show you that yesterday, yesterday morning actually, let me go to the channel here, and I recommended that maybe it would be a good idea for people to get back to Bitcoin because of that. And I published that in the community part of it. Here was, there has never been a drop like this recent one in BTC without a reaction. So maybe it's time to say goodbye to stables and back to BTC, just in case, and even if temporarily. So I think it's a good idea for those who got some money here in Bitcoin, got some Bitcoins here, going to true USD, to go back to Bitcoin and see what happens. See if this is a button. It could well be a button. The point is that I don't have the slightest idea about what's going to happen whenever the crash comes, whenever the S&P really falls, right? What I know is that these might be happening because when we see the oil prices, we see that they have already crashed. Oil prices have already crashed. From October on, they crashed. That's huge in terms of oil, my friends. This is really huge. It's 33% downward movement in less than a month, right? So that's a real crash. And I want to show you what happened with prices in 2008. Look, and from July on 2008, so that was before, I'm going to show you the S&P, what happened in July. It was still going up or sideways, right? And the oil prices came down, same way. That was before the crash in 2008, 76%. Quite a little bit more than what has happened nowadays, but let's come back here to 2008. I'm showing you the S&P 2008. So the markets were going in July they started to go actually they were going up while oil prices were coming down, right? So prices of oil go down whenever there's going to be the possibility of a recession in the world. Okay, so let's take a look at the cryptos that we're keeping an eye on. Let me just tell you that we've been recommending two cryptos. First one was a short position in EOS, and the second one was a long position in Monero. EOS because we've had the market not only broken this accumulation, which we understand is a symmetrical triangle, but because the support trend line comes from March this year, and it apparently shows the division between this whole part upwards here and the lower part of the quotes. So we think EOS is coming to this March of this year's lows, which is a little above 50,000 satoshis. We've also recommended a long position in Monero because look, Monero didn't only produce us a engulfing pattern yesterday. It produced us an engulfing pattern right above this support trend line, long-term support trend line that has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 dots touching the trend line, right? So it's a candlestick reversal in a very specific contest. So that's why we've recommended. So let's take a look in what we're keeping an eye on. Eternity is doing a downward flag, so that's why we're taking an eye on it. We think it's going to break these support levels here, which are the all-time low support levels, and will be coming lower. If you have eternity, tighten your stops, my friend. Bitcoin, we talked already. Excuse me. Again, eternity, Bitcoin, BitShares with another downward flag is probably coming to the all-time low as well. Ethereum is testing this important support level with a drift pattern. It's sliding down, so we think a reaction may be coming. To take a look in this accumulation here, we keep an eye on the 60-minute chart, on the hourly chart, where we eventually are going to have clues about the possibility for the market to be breaking out of this accumulation. Yoda, we're taking a look at it because in the daily chart, not the hourly chart, we can see a downward descending triangle. So we think it is probably going to be breaking these support lines here and coming to the all-time low. Coin. Why is that? It broke this support trend line and it's now testing a support. It was drifting. Now it reacted, and we want to see what's going to happen. No clues yet. Stellar had this beautiful symmetrical triangle broken. Gave us an indication, especially when it came back to the former resistance line that offered support, making what we thought was just a pullback. But then it reversed and came back again to the resistance line. So maybe this is just another pullback, something that happens in the market. Another pullback and then it goes up. So that's why we're keeping an eye on it. Tron produced this wedge and came down, and now is giving us a indication. Is it giving us an indication? Let's take a look here. It definitely is, right? So we were thinking it could go down, but eventually it will be. Sorry, I forgot to say, all these charts are quoted in Bitcoins, right? We're on the Bitcoin standard here in the channel. We think on Bitcoin. We think on increasing our Bitcoins, right? Whenever we bought eventually True USD, was with the purpose of trying to increase our Bitcoins, the Bitcoins we have in our portfolio. Okay, so yeah, I don't know what to do with Tron. Let's maybe wait to see if it flags up, and then we think of getting in, right? Zcash, we're keeping an eye on it because it was showing to be in a descending triangle. If it's really a descending triangle and this is a rectangle inside the descending triangle, then Zcash is in big trouble because it's going to be going much lower. But now it's reacting. Let's see. And that's it. Okay, my friends. Thank you very much for watching the video until now. If you liked it, give us a thumbs up. It helps us with YouTube. And tell your friends about us. See you next time.